Hey guys, let's chat. It's Sunday and I was working a little bit and now I'm like laying in the bed and gonna get up and work a little bit more here soon. And yes, by the way, that is a picture of me in my bedroom. Hey, sometimes you just gotta put a picture of yourself and remind yourself of who you are. But let's talk for a second about spiritual connection. And, you know, there's so many people on this journey and they don't have the tools to move through the journey. And they feel stuck for some people years. So what I want to talk about is the only way through this journey to get to the other side of it is through it, okay? And with that being said, there are no quote-unquote mistakes on this journey, because really the journey is for you, not the person that you're connected to. It's for them as well, but when it comes to your life, it's specifically designed for you and what you do on that journey. Your choices will determine what you will receive. So it really is about what you give is what you get in spiritual connection. But at the same time, there's an understanding of no mistakes, really, you know? And so what I want to say is that when you're growing up, when we grew up, you know, people that are on this specific journey of self-awareness, usually, yeah, my dogs are knocking at my door. Isn't that funny? But usually we grew up having to find different ways to receive love, you know, and it wasn't the natural way that, you know, from our authentic selves. It was usually through a way of manipulation and power without us even being aware of it. When we're young, we use manipulation and to get approval from people, and manipulation to seek someone's love. And probably starting with, you know, our first family, you know, our parents or our caregivers. And so if we had to take care of others in order for them to spend time with us, or if we had to be a certain way in order to be accepted in that moment, then that's what we had to do to survive. Right? Now, as adults, and in this connection, you realize that that doesn't work anymore. You know, manipulating that person into believing that you're lovable or that you're worthy of your desires will always backfire. Okay. And then it's crazy because, using your power, whether by force, whether you're passive aggressive or aggressive, either way you look at that, they're both out of balance, and you will always get the same thing. Whatever you're giving is what you really genuinely will give back. So you could believe, or you could think that your motives are pure, but after your attempts, you could realize that you might have been seeking love and approval again, okay? But again, there's no mistakes, because this isn't about trying to get it right to pass some kind of test, you know, or, I mean, yeah, you know, you want union in the physical form of it, but it's really not even about that. It's really about emotional and spiritual maturity and how that affects your physical life, okay? And, you know, if you're liking Instagram's post to get a rise out of the person you're connected to, if you're saying certain things or acting a certain way, ignoring the person, you know, it's one thing that if you have to take a break and you have to figure out what you're feeling, you know, and take self-care. It's another thing if you're using that to control the other person. And so that might feel powerful, but ultimately, at the end of the day, you feel powerless. So using any other tactics in spiritual connection, you're going to get the same thing. And this is the thing, guys. This connection never promised a relationship. It never promised a relationship. So, you know, there are moments where you'll get frustrated and say, why do I have to jump through all these hoops in order to be loved? Like, okay, yeah, I know that you have to be authentic, but damn, but you didn't want a regular relationship like, you know, your grandmother had, or your sister has, or your cousins or your friends. You wanted something a lot deeper and more authentic, and that's not going to look like what you see every day. It's going to be very different. And it's always going to reflect the love you have for yourself and what you put out there to the world. You know what I mean? And so this connection is always going to require authenticity. Again, there's not really any mistakes you can make because you're not really seeking a reward. There's like no reward that all of a sudden you pass the test and you're done. You know, that's not exactly how it works. It's about figuring out the ways that you're loving and being loved. You know, is it genuine? Is it true? How much assuming are you doing? Yeah, that's huge. Because you can assume that because you feel a certain way, that the person that you're connected to feels that way. And then you can actually have a whole story based off of what you feel. And really haven't communicated to the other person if there's anything on the other side of that. Or if you both even look at connection the same way. So this is really about, there's so many different aspects to this connection. But here's the thing. Like, I'm telling you, I mean, I had a connection once that lasted like 20 years, and I'm not even joking. And when I look back on that, I think about would I want it to be any different than what I experienced? And I'd have to say there was probably a faster way through that. You know, it was somebody that I had been in a relationship with when I was in high school. And I just felt connected to that person for years. Despite other relationships. But I was staying stuck because I wasn't using it as a healing tool, and I wasn't using it for what it genuinely was for. I was literally just using it. You know what I mean? And not even realizing that I was seeking love and approval from this person. I mean, I was wanting him to feel a need that my father couldn't feel, you know, or my brother couldn't feel. I just wanted to know that I was accepted and I could be loved for just being, you know what I mean? That's all I had wanted in that connection. And so I tried so many different ways to get that from that person. And ultimately, he was never going to be able to do that. And nobody can really do that for you. There's no person that's going to come into your life and show you that you're now worthy of love, because you're still always going to have to answer that question yourself. You know, it doesn't matter if you are in union, if you're not in union. You know, when you come from a place of deficit, then this connection's going to always reflect that back to you. So when you understand what this connection is all about, you understand that there's no real mistakes, and you can always get back into alignment. And what is alignment? Alignment is going back to that true part of yourself. That's alignment. Speaking from a place of truth. Not from a place of needing the other person to be a certain way, or blaming that person because of how you feel, because of what you accepted. But understanding your own needs, you know, and also understanding that the person you're connected to, their needs, you know, coming to a place of acceptance, like looking at it like this. If the person that you're connected to never did another thing, like never, basically, if who they were right now, as far as you're concerned, if they were always that way forever, and not needing them to do another thing or change anything, but just be who they are, is that okay with you? You know, how does that make you feel? Have you checked in with yourself to ask yourself, what if this never changes? You know, what if it always stays this way? Can I be okay with that and continue my behavior the way that I've, you know, continue to act the same way that I've been acting? Am I pleased with myself in that manner? And once you accept where they're at, it's pretty freeing, actually, because then you can make decisions from there, and not out of anger. And of course, you might go through that place of anger, and it would be completely normal. But it's not out of anger. It's just understanding that people can only love from their own consciousness. You know what I mean? Like, I can only love from my understanding of what love is, and the same for you. And that's for everybody. And connection doesn't always look the same to the two people that are in the connection. They could really see it completely different. So you have to understand that letting go of assuming is probably one of the biggest keys to freedom. And accepting where that person that you're connected to is with you right now. Just accepting it as if nothing else is going to change with them. And now what are you going to do? Okay? And understanding, forgiving yourself for the perceived mistakes. You know, because there really isn't any mistakes. If the person that you're connected to isn't the person for you, it's not going to matter. You can chase, run, you could do anything that you want to do, but it's not going to equal union. I mean, and if that person is meant for you, if you guys do end up in the same place at the same time, then it will happen. But there's no lack of love here. You know, like there's not like, you know what I mean? Like you can only be loved from one person. That's not true. So it's just all about you. It really is. Like, this is really all about you. This isn't about the other person. It's about you. And that you can't really control what that person does. You can't control what that person's going to do. And it would be more beneficial to just let go and accept and allow that person to be who they are with you. Because we can't always assume that the person that we feel connected to is that way with everybody. We really have to let go of those assumptions. You know, we have to realize that just because we feel a certain way doesn't mean that that exists on the other side. Which is why it always comes back to ourselves. And there's no hiding from it. Like, you can try to hide. Trust me, I have years of experience in this. You could try to hide all you want, but it'll just delay. You know, you got to get real. You got to get honest with yourself. You got to be authentic. Get honest with yourself. You know, what is really true? Okay, because, and the way that you can do that is once you sit and think about where that person is with you and does it align with what you desire, and then accept where they are, then you can move into a place of authenticity of how you're showing up. Like, it's like you can move into a place of peace, and then usually what comes from that is the authentic you. Because when you're very emotional about it, yes, that's you too. And that is a part of this process that you can't skip. But it kind of doesn't allow you to see things very clearly. But detachment allows you to see things more clear and more true. So, you know, you got to go through that process. But don't lie to yourself. Like, don't stay in denial. Don't choose denial. Don't hide. You know, we're going to hit those moments where we do that because that's what we learned. That's the way we're used to doing things. But question it. Challenge it. And ask yourself, do you really want to continue to stay there? Like, how much longer do you want to continue this? How much longer do you want to keep running and hiding from yourself, really? So, yeah, I just wanted to leave that with you. And what I do is I help people move through that and get to the other side and find their personal power, so that they're not waiting to make decisions, but they're making decisions based off of who they are and not who somebody else is. So my information is below if you want to work with me, and I'll talk to you soon.